perfect thing right here. I take 4 sips. You take 4 sips? Is that how you do it? You don't even take any sips out, do you?
Sometimes I don't. The more I can.
No.
Well, I mean.
Yes. Everyone, welcome to Love Your Body Podcast. This is not a sponsored ad from Sonic yet, but if you are listening and you drink Fight Energy, you can go to Sonic, ask for a large ice water. Everyone's confused about this. They think it's a slush. It's like, no, you have to make the slush. Like it's just
right.
Don't do a slush because they have sugar in it. Even if you get a straight up slush, yeah, crazy. So just ask for a large ice water. Take about 4 to 6 sips out of it, and then about a scoop and a half.
Yeah,
Maybe.
Ish.
Yeah, don't do Katie's servings. It's like 3 scoops per 1 times 17.
Divided by.
Truthfully, like a scoop and a half is perfect for this amount. But anyway, got some blueberry. He's gonna get a strawberry. It's gonna be great. But no, so on today's episode, I'm gonna welcome Katie Long, one of my. I don't want to. Should I say like best clients? We're just keeping it real. I don't know what to say.
Wow.
Favorite. I'm just kidding. Everybody listening. I'm going to get a text message.
Yeah.
I thought I was your favorite. I'm like, come on the podcast and then, yes, you can be.
You're all my favorite.
You're all equally. This is going to be great. So, Katie, introduce yourself to the people. Tell them who you are.
To the people.
What you do. Besides work out every day with me.
Katie Long. So the easiest way to describe is, well, I'm a nurse, but I work in clinical informatics. So right now, basically what that means is I'm kind of like a middleman or a liaison or the deal maker between
making deals.
IT and like our clinicians. Okay. So physicians, nurses, anybody that works in the healthcare system charts, right? Like document stuff on an electronic medical record. And I am the person that kind of helps design based on like clinical workflows, what that documentation system should look like, give advice, help direct, help IT understand what that means, get all the right stakeholders involved.
And how long have you been with the company?
I've been with HCA since March of 2022.
Okay.
So just about as long as I've been in Nashville.
Okay, because they moved you out here. Like you got the job and then you moved?
They did not.
Okay.
I was in a 6-month contract job.
Okay.
Knowing that I was going to move here. So my ma's retired and lives with me.
Yeah.
Good old Jane.
Jane, yes. We love her.
We do. And my brother and sister are both still up in Illinois.
Okay.
So I was out in Arizona, so knew we wanted to be closer to family.
Yeah.
I don't have kids or anything, not married, any of that, which is nice most of the time.
So you just pick up and go.
Right. Yeah. So anyway, it was easy to be closer. I didn't want to live in Illinois for multiple reasons, but so in Nashville now, knew I wanted, outside Nashville, but because the market here's like anywhere else.
Well, you got land. I mean, you went and got land where you live.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I have 10 acres, so
love that.
Out in Dixon.
Big old John Deere. You riding around and taking care of stuff. I love it. That's awesome. It's very cool. So you lived in Arizona. You've lived in Illinois. Where else? Have you lived anywhere else? For a stint of time?
I mean, technically, I lived in Iowa for a little bit.
Oh, Iowa.
Just cornfields. But
essentially, it was
Illinois.
Time.
You drove.
There's a lot of cornfields. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, it's just flat. There's nothing.
Yeah, like it was like 9 hours for a strongman competition. Left at 2:00 in the morning. Yeah, awful.
Nebraska, Iowa. There's nothing.
Yeah, I thought it would be a little bit more exciting, but definitely was not. But it was all good.
That's kind of Illinois too, honestly. People think Chicago, of course, but most of Illinois is farm.
Which I had no idea, honestly. We and Andrea talked about that all the time when she was telling me about Chicago and stuff. And I just imagine like Chicago from the movies, and you don't imagine like farmland or any of that kind of stuff at all. No. So would you say, I mean, did you like living in Arizona, or was it kind of just like you were over it by the time it was time to come here? Like,
I had a really nice community of people that I built. So I loved living out there. But it's still hot, man. I mean, I was back recently, and it's hot.
Yeah.
Still, and stuff. But built some solid. I was out there for 8 years, so I built some solid people around me that I miss.
So for those who are listening that don't know Katie, so Katie's been working with me it's been over a year now, right?
Yeah, June of 22.
Okay. Yep. So, from the time like that you started working out and everything like that, like what kind of was your deciding factor? Because I'm going to come back to your trip that you just went to in Arizona, kind of how the reflection that you had with everything. But like, what, was that beginning step? Because a lot of people, I think, that follow with this podcast, whether they're a client or used to be a client or want to be a client or whatever, like, they just, one, they are, continually trying to figure out like, what is this routine they want to get in? Like, why are they fighting for what they want? All those things. So tell me kind of a little bit about that.
Yeah. For me, it was a very distinct moment. Like I remember it exactly when it happened. And for years off and on, well, I did sports and stuff all through like high school and just growing up and on the farm. Right. So always active, but never like intentional movement, I would say, or intentionally working out. And frankly, you get more and more to a point where you just become complacent and you just don't really think that it's possible. So I tried multiple times to really just frankly lose weight.
Yeah.
And I could do that and sustain it, but it would be for short periods of time. And then, I mean, it's a common thing, right? So then you just fall back into it and then
you're back kind of a roller coaster. Yeah.
And I got to a point where, especially my age and stuff, I was basically like, do you want to live like this? Because I started seeing little things become hard. I started seeing what my life would look like, where I was down a path of being more obese and being more just super unhealthy, where every like little things were hard, or just where I didn't have energy to do what I wanted to be able to do.
Yeah.
Or just if somebody would say, hey, let's go do X, or my nieces would be like, hey, Aunt Katie, like, let's go for a hike or whatever. Like that stuff became worrisome in my head. It was just always kind of sat in the back of my brain.
Right.
And you become that person where, you're always wondering if you're going to be the one that's like going to be like, can you keep up with what's going, like physically?
Yeah.
And so for me, it was
such a frustrating spot. Like, it's such a hard spot to be in. And like, and it's sad. Like, it really is. Cause like, I've been there too, where you are like, can I, make it up those flight of stairs, like to where, you know what I mean? Like without like dry, like heaving, you know what I mean? Like, like getting out of breath and like, and feeling embarrassed or feeling like, someone's going to comment on it or it's like, you're kind of placed in that box that they assume that's who you are kind of,
Or you just, you're put in that place where people just assume you're going to eat like trash and you're just going to do those things. And there's just not only like the perception I had of myself wasn't good either. So I knew I had to make a decision. I gave the example, and this sounds like super extreme, and it wouldn't be this extreme, but I'm like, do I want to invest in like a crane to like get myself out of bed every day?
Ooh, yeah.
Or do I want to invest in my life?
Yeah.
And, enter Danny. So
you're like,
I mean, so I made that choice. And so for me, like getting a routine to be able to like work out and stuff, I knew I couldn't rely on myself. I didn't trust myself to be able to do that.
Yeah.
Because even just showing up to a gym, it is overwhelming, and it is not understanding what I'm doing or what I should be doing.
Yeah.
And age-wise.
Before you reached out, had you like tried to go into a gym? Like, had you walked it, or were you like, nah, I'm not even, I have to have a trainer first before I
had tried enough times to either show up at a gym or be like, I'm going to go for a walk or I'm going to do this, and made all the excuses every single time where I did do it for a little bit or I didn't, or this, that, the other thing.
Right.
And I just knew that I was out of my depth. I didn't know what I was doing.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I need help.
Yeah.
And I knew I needed really accountability.
Right.
And someone to be an expert in what they were doing so that I could know what I was doing.
Yeah.
So,
Expert. I'm like, and hello.
I mean, that's true. I mean,
I
you
know.
are an expert.
I know. I'm just, making sure everybody else knows that they
Danny is an
Danny Fitness. No, but it's funny because so many people view trainers as like not even as highly as like, and you haven't even touched on like how highly you speak of this brand, but it's always just that thing of like, kind of just like a trainer is a trainer is a trainer. And it's like, no.
Yeah.
Like, if you ever tried protein shakes, a protein shake is not a protein shake. It's not a protein shake. Like, there are different varieties. And some are going to make you feel really bad. Some are going to make you feel awesome. Mm-hmm. And some are going to be kind of in between.
Yeah, well,
Yeah,
for sure. No, frankly, like before, I mean, I didn't know who I was going to end up with, right? I mean, because I called Next Level.
Yep.
And was basically like, I need help.
Yeah.
Here's my situation.
And what's so crazy? So when that happened, so the way that the personal training studio that I, used to train out of before the LYB, like how it worked was basically like you run your own business out of there. So you don't work for anybody. You own your own business. But if there are people who reach out to the gym, like Jack would kind of facilitate that. If he's like, hey, there's a really good fit, or like I would always be proactive and give him my schedule and be like, hey, I have these times open. If anybody's asking for that, like let me know. If there's somebody that relates to my brand and that you think would be a good fit, please, like at least let me have a conversation or whatever with them, right?
Yeah.
And so he always did a great job with that. But he had sent me, he said, hey, I know you said that you were, you're booked or whatever. But he was like, there's somebody I think that you should like read her kind of, her little, her bio and everything like that about what she's wanting. And I was like, okay, like, let me see. And because I really did, it was like a God thing because I mean, I had to pray about it because at that point things were just kind of crazy. Cause you said June, right? Yeah. And so, and that usually is a busy time for me personally. And then usually July falls off kind of because it's like midsummer or whatever. But that's usually kind of like that part of the Love Your Body season. Anyway, and so I was just like booked. And I was like, I just don't know if I can do it. You know what I mean? Like, and then I read your stuff. I was like, all right, something's telling me like, let's just do this. And so then when we met, I mean, I remember you coming in the first time and stuff like that. And tell me, do you remember your first session?
Yeah.
Okay.
Very
You
clearly.
want to let everybody know like how your, kind of what your emotions were, what the vibe was, like all that.
Yeah. So, I mean, I didn't know what to expect. I will say, even because we had a phone conversation first, which was helpful.
Was it Zoom or was it a phone?
It was phone.
Okay.
Because I got an email from Jack.
Yeah.
Pretty quickly after I kind of inquired
Yes.
from Next Level, and then he connected me in there with you.
Yes.
And it wasn't that long after, like, I heard from you.
Yeah.
And because you said, like, let's have a phone conversation or a conversation.
Yeah.
Like phone or Zoom, I think. And I was just like, all right, let's just call,
Okay.
I was at work, actually. So, but you kind of laid it out. Like, you kind of I explained, like, you gave me the opportunity to just, like, here's where I'm at. Here's what I don't know what I was just super honest. At least that's how I remember, like, being super honest, being like, this is what it was. And you were like, all right, this is what I think, let's just start, like, let's just see, like, let's come in here, like, I do an assessment, and like, you just kind of laid out what the plan was. And so that was reassuring because I was like, okay, like, she knows. Well, first, like, she knows where I'm at, number one, and two, like, I already feel optimism that there could be hope in this.
Yeah.
And so anyway, fast forward to literally like 2 days later.
Yeah.
I didn't think it was going to happen that fast, but I'm glad it did because you just kind of like jump into it.
Let's go.
I do.
Well, because you got me on the back end of this, for those listening, like she got me like right at the spot in my journey where, I mean, I'm getting ready before, like this is right before my prep, like, or this is during my prep. So it's right before my shows, literally a month and a half before. So like, I'm already like very like, like we're getting stuff done. Right. I think that is why, because I was like booked, but like, yes. And I was just like, you know what? Like,
I had no idea.
But yeah. So because I was like, how far can I push myself? Right. And I was like, let's do it. But anyway, the point is that like on the back end, that's when I kind of transitioned from this very like, I mean, I've always been intense, but it was more like I I can't, like a confidence, like I can help you. So like, let's get to it.
Yeah.
Versus before, I feel like it was more like I don't know. It was different. And there was like a flip and switch for me. So I was just like, oh yeah, like it's this simple. It's very black and white. We're going to come in here. This is what we're going to do. Like, you know what I mean? And that kind of reshaped my programming with everyone around that time.
That's interesting. Yeah. I mean, that confidence was felt for me, which was reassuring because like, I mean, I can take care of you as a nurse. Like I can go in there and I can be confident. I know what I'm doing. Like I took care of people for years and years and years. And so to feel that from someone was just reassuring. So anyway, fast forward to that first day. And it was also helpful that knowing that it was not like a big gym and stuff too, that it was a studio. And so it was personal trainers and their clients.
Yes.
And I'd never worked with a personal trainer before. And I was like, I don't know, well, you got to try, right? Like, let's just see how this goes.
Oh man.
And I remember getting on the treadmill because you're just walk for a few minutes and stuff to like warm up and whatever.
Yeah.
And then came over and you were super energetic and just
chugged like 3 scoops of fight,
probably. Now,
Depending on the time of day.
If I would have known then, I've been like, hit me up.
Right. Just pre-fight, Katie.
Yeah, pre-fight, Katie.
Oh my gosh.
And you just started having me do stuff. And it was, honestly, like I was surprised, I think, because it wasn't, nothing was even like written down. Like it was just a natural flow of like what was going on. And dude, I struggled. Tell
them how the inchworms are the first
God,
time.
I struggled with all of it. It was hard.
Everyone does their first session.
I mean, I knew I was so out of this shape and just so in a really unhealthy place. And so doing normal things was just tough, but.
Yeah. The thing is that everyone, like, I think that the biggest thing, but I mean, even though, again, it was challenging, but it was doable. You made it through the whole thing. You didn't get sick. You didn't quit. You didn't, nothing crazy happened. You're probably sore, right? But like.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But you were that was the thing too. Like you were very aware and very in tune of what was going on.
Yeah.
So I felt safe in that space as far as, I don't know how to describe it. I guess you just knew, like you were very perceptive of like what was happening with even like me and being, all right, just take a second, or like, okay, let's go on to the next thing.
Here's the thing that I think people forget is that like so many trainers who have not gone through it themselves are going to have like, they're going to write it down what they want you to do and have it in their notes or whatever. Right. And in the beginning, like I may have done that a little bit when I first started out, but not really, because for me, it's like, if I have this list of expectations for you, and you can't do one of those things and I don't know how to pivot or whatever, and I'm like abiding by these like exercises and I have to get these done, and then I feel like I didn't accomplish the workout that I took time to write out and to get to, you know what I mean? Like it's too much pressure on both ends, and then you feel like a failure because you didn't do
great. Now I disappointed you. Like this
right.
is great. Let's just add
exactly.
to the list.
Well, and the thing is again, it's like take out the nonsense. Like it's like there should be a flow to trainers, like to their training style. And like, I'm not going to, if you can't do something at that time or unable to do it, I'm not going to keep pushing for you to keep trying and keep failing over and over again. You know what I mean? It's again, it's just a quick pivot of, I have 3,700 other exercises that we can do that you're going to feel just as capable and still work the same muscles. You know what I mean? And so, and that just comes from like, again, training all different types of bodies, all different ages. And I've been training literally for 12 years, Right. And I think that people forget that also because my business, I've had it for 6 years. But before that, I mean, I've had to give women, because they were, so obese, like women, like workouts in a chair. Mm-hmm. Because they could not, get up and off the ground, or they couldn't, do, just even, what's it called? Like functional training. Like it really was like seated workouts.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. So again, and then from working with that to like athletes to like all different types of people. So it's just like, you have to learn quickly. Like you pick up and you run with it and you rock with it. And then you kind of figure out like, okay, like this is a style. This is what keeps people feeling successful, and keep that in the priority versus, I want to make it look like you had a great workout. I need you sweaty and like panting because you know what I mean? Like, and that's so,
Right.
it's just the mindset has to be intentional, you know?
Well, you're doing things for your client too, right? So and maybe I'm wrong, but this is my opinion, I guess.
Yeah.
But you're consistently looking at the goals that that person has that's in front of you to adjust and adapt to keep that also in the back of your brain.
Yeah. Well, and also too, like, you know, the thing is that like I can have like, I think that it's so funny because I'm such a scheduled person, but like,
What?
right? But like with planning and stuff like that, like again, when people are trying to live a healthy lifestyle regimen and whatever, like the goal is that you get the most effective workout for the time that we have, but that you feel successful in that. So if you, again, if I planned, oh yeah, we're going to hit a big deadlift today or whatever, but then you got no sleep the night before, you didn't eat before you came in, well,
Right.
then we're not going to hit a big deadlift.
Right.
Well, then I'm screwed. What am I going to do? You know what I mean? So then
Right.
it's like, so again, it's like I not only have to have a plan for what I am thinking that we're going to do, but then I have to have a backup plan for if something comes around, or like a backup plan for a backup plan for another backup plan. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, so it's just like, so again, you gotta have to kind of be able to pick and go with that. And that comes with, like I said, with years of experience and things like that. But no, I love that when you came in, you know, that you felt successful, because that's always been my mission with like the private personal training studios. And that's where I felt safe to like train my clients in those spaces and everything, so that they felt safe, you know. And then now we got the LYB, you know, so it's, again, it is completely private.
Yeah, for sure.
And still be able to, you know, man, that kid. Y'all, the Airbnb, it's like it's on the other side of this house, and I can hear this little kid running up and down.
He's probably super happy over there.
I wasn't gonna say anything, but man, it is like, how loud are you?
I feel like kids don't realize.
It's
I
so
don't know.
ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's just funny.
Just back and forth.
Like it's just, it's like the girl with the heels the other night. Like it's crazy. The stories I could tell.
Yep.
Yep. And
We'll just leave it there.
it's a good times. Good times.
Somebody had a good time.
Yeah. Anyway, but so let's say, okay, so them taking a pause in that. So this is, yeah, like, okay, so around that time, it was so funny because when you came, like, you'd only been working with me for like a month, I guess, month and a half, and then like came to the show, and I'm like, in my mind, I was kind of like, this could either go really bad or this could go really good, because I'm like, this is a bodybuilding, like, you know what I mean? All of us didn't even know how to feel about it, let alone new clients, you know, and then coming in and the safe environment. And then I'm like, okay, I'm in here like in a bikini and like I'm on stage. It's all about aesthetics and whatever, you know? And that's where I think some people too, you know, got it confused of like when you're doing a show and things like that. And like, you never put any, you don't never, I mean, that to me, you didn't, any judgment or any like type of sassiness or any type of jealousy or like, you know what I mean? And people did that. I mean, I had
no doubt.
someone come in, whatever, like not a client anymore, but like it was just like a very awkward situation, but had said something to me, and this is other people said stuff too, but like said something along the lines of like, yeah, you don't look as lean this week. I'm
Wow.
so sorry.
I just don't understand why that's necessary.
It's not necessary. It's rude as fuck, honestly.
It
And
is,
it's
yeah.
just, and it's very hurtful because, again, I'm working so hard and then taking care of all these other people and then still trying to run a business. Okay. I mean, at this point too, yeah, I have a house, like renovations were going on, crazy stuff. Anna was
Right.
living at the apartment. Like there's so much that was happening. And it was just like, geez, like way to knock me down even more.
Right.
Or try to.
Well, and what are you supposed to say to that? Because, I mean, especially if they're like a client and stuff too,
yeah.
right? Awesome.
But yeah, because I mean, have I ever once looked at you and been like, oh, like you haven't met the goals that we had prescribed, or you know what I mean? Like I've never,
No.
like, or commented on your body unless it's in a positive manner of like, man, you're looking strong, lean, but when I mean it, you know what I mean? Not just like,
Oh, no, yeah. It's not patronizing at all.
yeah.
It's very genuine.
And
And it's
so-
not all the time. That's like, if it was all the
Right.
time, I'd be like, okay, like
Yes.
it wouldn't be,
I'm
it
not
wouldn't
going
be
to say
genuine.
anything that I don't believe, you know, or that I don't think is necessary. So it's like one of those things where that's another fine balance too of,
being
because
encouraging, but not being.
yeah, exactly. Not just bullshitting,
Mm-hmm.
like, and, sorry, I know Jane's probably listening to this, so I'm not trying to cuss too much.
It's all good, Jane. It's all good.
But it's just like, but yeah. But again, I had so many comments like that and things, that were said to me or whatever, that were just really hurtful and things. And so to have somebody, cause I was genuinely like, you were like, yeah, like I can come. And I was like, okay. And like, I was like, I hope that, it's like, I hope that she loves it and stuff like that, but I can't help how you view the shows and all those things, whatever.
Yeah.
And,
There's no way. Yeah.
Well, and at first too, when I started doing strongman, people were like, oh, that doesn't align with the brand and oh, whatever. And then look at what happens. You can make, I believe that any type of movement and that where my intention is set, that I am trying to, again, fight for what I want, love everybody throughout, get your movement and all these things, like that's the key right there. You know what I mean? Like that is like the most important part of, just like keeping everything level and not letting like, I don't know, not letting.
Well, it's not like it's not contained to like one thing,
right?
Like it's wide open, like that, the possibilities are endless.
But they are. And and I have clients who literally run marathons. I have clients who are professional singers. I have clients who, have done like Taekwondo and stuff. I've done like all over the board, Well,
that's attractive as a client. Like that's attractive to know that the vast. So you don't have to be like, oh, I have to be this person, or I have to be CrossFit material, or I have to be
or fit into the culture. It's like the culture is accepting of everybody.
Literally. Yeah, this community is. we're all different.
So let's touch on that. What, because you've been an active role in, because I have my social media, my Instagram group, that we have clients in there, and what has been, your take on that? Like, have you always felt supported? Do you feel like everything has gotten closer over the year? Like how do you feel like with it?
Yeah, I think even just initially, people are very welcoming in that. That is through and through.
Yeah.
Right. Like people aren't gonna just be mean. Like, and there's
they're engaging. Like it's safe. Yes, and all ages.
People will be like, talk about like wins that they've had. They'll talk about struggles. They'll talk about just something going on in life. They'll give suggestions of stuff. It's just It's not too much, but it's It's good.
Yeah, it's good because I feel like too, you along this journey, and like as you had said before, you didn't have the support really that you needed, like the accountability that you needed. And like I'm one person, and so I know that I can give 100% to you guys and things like that. But it is important that you have people, because yes, I'm going through my journey alongside, but that you have people who are on the same level and that are going. You know what I mean?
You need somebody you can relate with.
Yes.
There's plenty of. I have friends now that are part of that are your clients, and they became friends because they were your clients.
Yeah,
and because I was your client, am your client. As I knock over the microphone.
Yeah, you're good.
So, and they're like solid people.
Yeah,
and it's nice too to be able to. There's times where. Like with Sarah, like I'll text them and be like, "Are you?" Usually, there's a lot of times where like we'll both be on the stairs or something, and so like you'll text back and forth. Like just that piece too is just it's just encouraging, but it's also like challenging and like in the best ways. It's not competitive either, which is nice too.
Yes, which I love that.
It's just you just build each other up. You just walk through it together, which is super helpful.
But yeah, so. Obviously, I'm very proud of the community that's been built. I know you love Fight. So that's...
Do I?
Fight Energy, 0 calories, all the vitamins.
All your daily vitamins.
125 milligrams caffeine per one scoop. I think the people want to know, Katie, how many scoops do you have in a day?
It just depends on the day.
Okay. Well, is there a direct correlation of you crushing your goals per, amount of scoops? I would say, yeah, they go hand in hand. So if someone's wanting to level up and get on Katie's level, maybe Fight Energy is what you need in your life. Okay, there's our ad for today. And here you go. No, but for real though.
Blueberry or strawberry.
Blueberry or strawberry. Yes, we have 2 flavors. But no, like the thing is what makes it so special, about your journey that I love watching is one, you have been consistent. You show up even when you don't want to. You've learned, you've taken in every suggestion that I have said, every, guidance that I've given. You're now a food accountability client as well, and that is great.
That's a whole nother world.
Yes. Yeah. Tell them about that. Tell them a little bit, like the
About
difference,
food
I guess. Yeah. Or I guess just like the addition.
Yeah, I mean,
Because,
I'm
well,
glad that I didn't do it right away.
Yeah. Well, first say too. Okay. So again, you started training. So I guess it would be if like you'd say for a year, and in that year, how much progress have you seen? Things like that. Like,
Yeah, you want stats?
yeah, let's give them the stats.
The stats. It's like a baseball card. So in the first year, it's a little over 40 pounds of weight loss, like 11% body fat. I know I increased muscle. I don't remember the numbers exactly, but
Yeah.
muscle up, my metabolism up. So all of that.
Yeah.
Which it's nice having all of those things.
Versus just weight loss. And just focusing on, and someone could be like, well, what do you mean? Well, anybody can diet and lose a bunch of weight and also lose muscle and lower their metabolic rate and mess up their hormones. You know what I mean? Like those are not lifelong healthy markers that we're trying to get to.
Well, I've just never felt this good.
Yeah. I can tell that too. Your confidence has changed even from when we first started. I sent you that video the other day.
You did.
And isn't that
was
great to see? Like,
It was interesting, yeah.
and I mean, it should be it's almost like because I mean, I look at stuff too before and I'm like, man, like I'll get not sad about it, but I'll be like, I feel not bad for that person that I was before, but I was like, I know what she was going through. So like I level with it and I'm like, it's upsetting sometimes, but then I'm like, but look at how much stronger you are now and everything you did to get out of that situation of feeling trapped in your body,
Yeah.
and that freedom that you have now.
That's a good statement. I think being trapped in your body. Because I felt so successful in so many other areas of my life.
Yeah.
And it was just like this one spot. And it was so paralyzing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, food accountability piece of it, it's just a whole nother journey to learn. So I was never taught anything about food or how to use it or that it's fuel or what all that looks like and stuff.
Right.
And of course we've had conversations all along the way about things where you've given suggestions or
Right.
you'll check in and, always upping how often I'm eating and just those protein, particularly those kinds of things. But this is really specific and not in necessarily being like, this is what you have to eat now or whatever, but you give suggestions and then it's me kind of managing within those macros.
Yes.
What that looks like every day.
So again, it's that freedom piece of I'm not a registered dietitian and I'm not giving you a meal plan. Simply, put the way I do food accountability coaching is, having that type of like spreadsheet where it is, we have the macros, we have that. I'm sports nutrition certified. So again, I can allot the healthier foods that I want you to have before workout, after workout, kind of give you parameters, right? But within that, it's still up to you to make those choices and to learn what it maybe might be a healthier option, what's not, and then put it out there. So it's literally on this table. It's on this interactive document. So I can see, what you're having and things like that. So again, adding another layer of accountability to your journey. And that's why I always tell people, I'm like, when you're ready, then we can go to this. We can move to this because it is very overwhelming at first. And some people, they want to do it all. They're like, I want this, I want that, I want this, all these things, right? But it really is a progression. And I know that the way that you've done things, like it has led you to the most successful, like that you could possibly be, because so many people, they bite off more than they can chew, and you took the time to like learn your body, find movement, take my suggestions kind of like one step at a time.
Yeah.
And then from here, now it's like, okay, now let me let this work that I've already been building up to, how it, how it kind of lays out. And so it's been really cool to watch. And again, it's when you have that extra layer of accountability with the food, it's again, not like what's the word? I don't know. It's not like a punishment or like a,
No, it's
restriction. Yeah. It's more of a, like, okay, maybe I shouldn't have the chocolate cake right now.
It
Like,
kind of it helps you to pause.
yes.
Because I mean, I'm just gonna be honest, right? So before,
Yep.
while I would stay within, I guess, certain boundaries and was paying more attention to my food, now it's that piece where I'm going, okay, I'm gonna have to write this down.
Yeah.
So, do I want to write this down,
Right.
or do I not want to? And
Yeah.
sometimes I want to.
Yeah.
Like sometimes I'm big. No, like I want to have
Yes.
this whatever.
Yep.
And sometimes I don't. And
And that's how you know though that you really wanted it and you were able to own it. And I have more respect for someone being like, to say like, yeah, I wanted the cupcake. Own it, right? Okay, cool. Versus, well, it was a stressful day and I got sad about this and that, whatever. And then I had the cupcake but I feel really bad and then I worked out and is that okay? It's like, no. Okay. Like irrelevant. You either had it or you didn't, either chose or you did not, right? It's the intention in it. Like, you know what I mean?
yeah, it helps to bring up all those emotions because I can feel when I have. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know. It was a little while ago, but I had just a really stressful day and just a really busy day and just compiling of just things that happened, and I was just like, dude, I could just down a freaking big old ribeye and like a pint of something and just make it rain. I did not.
Yeah.
I think I freaking had like a protein shake instead or something just to like tide me over.
Exactly. Yeah.
But like the chocolate almond butter is helpful. I will say that.
Yeah.
But it's just being aware of those choices, and I like the ability to have freedom because one, I just if it's the same thing every day, I'm going to go nuts,
Right.
and it's never going to be successful. And two, you're giving me the resources so that I can manage it myself, because if you're doing it for me,
You're not
then
learning.
what happens when you're not around?
I know. Yeah. What happens when I go live on a farm somewhere? And enter. Are we on to the next segment?
I think it's time.
Is it
Katie.
time?
I think it might be.
You've had enough time about your healthy lifestyle journey to bring up my love interest.
I mean, there's a lot to be said.
More invested. Yeah. Well, I mean, what do you want to say,
Am I
Kate?
more
Like,
invested? Am I?
Okay, well, let's transition though, because we do want to talk about this. So you mentioned in the
Definitely
beginning.
wanna talk about this.
You mentioned in the beginning that you're not seeing anybody, you're not married, and don't have kids. So
I do.
we've talked about this.
Nah.
We've talked about this, like where, intentions of men, and also how, becoming a strong, confident, independent woman. I mean, because again, you have your own property. You've had several properties before. You've, created I think in my mind, like a successful future for yourself.
Yep.
You have a great job. Like you have so many things to offer. A woman of faith. Like, you have a lot of very positive attributes. And so,
Yeah, I'm absolutely a catch.
yeah. And there's the dainty that just comes right in right there. But seriously, like, and that's awesome. And so in your, perspective with like dating and things like that, like, the constant thing that we both have talked about is, man, we just wish that someone would put some, intention or some care behind, this and why is it that they don't, come around or whatever. So like, how have you felt since losing your weight, since, feeling more confident? Like, has any of that changed with the dating stuff? Like, do you want to talk about that at all?
Oh my
Like,
gosh, the dating scene's trash, but
true. True.
in general, for the most part, I feel like I've always felt, I don't know how to describe this really well, I guess, but I've always felt like, for me, if I was going to get married or be in a long-term relationship, that I would want to be add to their life, and I would want them to add to mine, because I'm completely content being single. Like, I love my life.
Yes.
And have for a really long time, and like what it's about and like what I do and all those things. And frankly, the older I get and stuff, the more I'm like, you got to be able to add to it. Like, I want to be challenged by you. I don't want to just settle. It's not even just settle. I just don't want to be okay with, because there's just so much that comes with a relationship and stuff, and sacrifice and all that and whatever. So it has to be worth it to me.
Yeah.
And for them too. Like, I want you to have,
For sure.
and I'm not saying that you have to be like a freaking billionaire or whatever, or have all this stuff together, but I do want you to have intention and like know what you want, I guess.
Yes. Yeah.
So but I think for me, it's helped gain confidence in that area too, to know that, and to just in myself to be like, no, like there are pieces that before, I don't know, I'd been like, oh yeah, they absolutely need to like work out and stuff. And how can I expect that from a man to do that when I wasn't doing that in my own life and taking care of myself and doing those things? And now I'm like, no, that absolutely is a requirement. Like, because I want to be able to be healthy together.
I love that. And that's something that you would have never like had before. You
Right.
know, like,
because I can't have the expectation if I wasn't doing it myself.
I mean, some people do though.
Yeah, well,
You know what I mean?
true.
And they're like that. They'll get me out of it. They'll pull me. And like more this dependency thing, right? And so it's like I've always told people, especially when they start out the healthy lifestyle journey, I asked them, one of the questions I probably asked you was like,
You did.
Are you single? Like, or do you live with somebody? What's the deal? Because I like to know that, because I look at it as like, man, not that my people who are married and stuff like that, they've seen results too, or they're in relationships or whatever. It's just that like when you can have that time to yourself to build this like structure, this routine and regimen, it's a game changer. Mm-hmm. Like you're not gonna get that time back. You know what I mean?
No,
like
it's building a relationship with yourself.
Yes, and without judgment, without fear. I mean, because not to say that. I mean, I've had so many clients to where like the partners have not been supportive and have torn them down about stuff, or
That's so messed up.
or were the reason that they went to me because they wanted them to look better for them. You see what I mean? So, and then like when they did lose the amount of weight, I was like, okay, now they're good and done with this. Like you see, and like that is what I hate. So
So
it's good that you can have that I guess again, that knowledge of like knowing yourself and deciding what you want to fight for versus someone telling you what to fight for, you know?
Yeah.
And it's not as blunt as that. I know that this has happened too a roundabout way. So I know those were extreme scenarios I just explained, but it also happens roundabout ways too. But so talk to me a little bit about, you live with your mom. So, or she lives with you. She lives with you. And you know to take it back, do you think that you're, I guess, because it seems like you were very good in school. You were very intelligent, like things like that. So you had these like very like high accolades, like these markers, but that you had the issue with the confidence. Kind of where did that come from? Like the
my dad mostly.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, just grew up in a household that was consistently cutting you down, and just lived in a way that.
Did he cut everyone down, or was it just like he singled you out?
It was everybody for the most part. I mean, I don't know that he would actually admit that.
Yeah.
Nor do I think that maybe a lot of people see that, because he's pretty charismatic and stuff.
Yeah. Kind of manipulative.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. Gotcha.
And so, I mean, every day when you're told that you're not good enough,
Right.
you're ugly, you're can't do anything right. It's just living in such chaos all the time, where you're constantly, like, I found myself consistently trying to be like, okay, what do I need to do to meet this person's expectations that you're never going to meet, and he's just going to be pissed off about everything.
Yeah.
And so
It's like an uphill battle you're never going to win.
right.
Yeah.
But as a kid, like, you don't understand that. So like when you're stewed in that all your life, and that's just kind of what you grow up in, your self-worth is just gone and just depleted. And I let that carry on for longer than probably what it should have. And let that just be what it was. And frankly, I agreed with it for years.
Yeah. Well, because again, if you hear something long enough, like you will believe it. And that's why I tell people when you tell yourself every day that you're FAT or you're this or you're that or whatever, it's like, then you are. You are what you like.
You believe it.
You believe it. And again,
That's a good quote.
And that was and like for me when I was like growing up and stuff, it's like, you know, everyone always was telling me something was wrong with my body. I didn't think anything was wrong with myself. Like I loved myself. I was good with it, even when I put on the weight. It wasn't until everybody else kept saying these things. I'm like, damn, like I'm hearing this every freaking day.
Yeah.
Like, get off me. Like, I don't understand. So to hear it every day, then you finally start to believe it. And that is what made me the most sad.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't even want to believe this. But it's like, I have to. And I think as children, like, it really is that, you know, or young adults, like, you just take that on. And it's people that you usually look up to, you know, the most, that hurt you the most.
It was messed up, frankly.
Yeah.
And you try to navigate that. And I honestly, like, I tried for a long time to have a relationship with him in some way. And it's not anymore. I tried to do the right thing to have a conversation with him and resolve some things.
Yeah.
And he chose not to want to do that.
Was that recent?
In the last 3 years.
Okay. So you're trying to get your healthy lifestyle in order, trying to repair things with him.
And I don't know if I don't even know if he recognizes that he didn't really want to or wasn't willing to do that. But in my opinion, he's not. I think he thinks that he reaches out and tries to do things. He does not. And so I just refuse anymore to have a fake relationship with people, or one that's just not adding to either one of our lives, or participate, I guess, in a narrative that isn't true.
Yeah.
And so I just won't.
And I love that. I think that's great. But, you know, because again, it's like some people act like, oh, well, it's your family, you have to do this, or oh, whatever.
Yep. Like, I've had multiple people reach out and say stuff and comment on things, and frankly, I'm just not engaged with it. No.
And you can't, because again, it's your life. And no matter if it's, you know, like your mom or dad or whatever, or brother, sister, whoever, it's at the end of the day, like you have to do right by you. Yeah. They're not in your body. They're not like, they don't know what the struggles that you go through on a daily basis. Like, and so to continually have to like fight for their approval or fight for whatever, I don't think that that's wrong for you to be like, that's not something you're willing to fight for.
It's hard, right? Because I want to always be aware, because in my relationship with God, like I want to be able to be aware that if there comes a moment where I need to step in and have grace, because forgiveness has happened. Right. But if I need to step in and have grace because things do change or something does happen, I want to be open to that. Yeah. And be aware of that, but I want to have discernment of when that does happen and when that doesn't. And it's a balance. It's a dance for sure.
Yeah. And I think with any relationships, you know, it is.
Speaking of relationships.
Yeah. What? Are you speaking Jenny, as the people?
How's your little dance going? Speaking for the people, on behalf of the people, we should know.
We should know. We have the right to know. I cannot with you guys. It's like, geez, I breathe of like a male like suitor, and y'all are like, oh my gosh, when's the wedding?
I appreciate that you said male suitor. Just like a big sword.
I mean, he got an axe on it. I'm sure he's got like all
lumberjack-ish.
Lumberjack, yeah. No, I mean, okay, so, you know, going great. What do you want me to say? Like, okay, so.
It's good.
It is good. And here's the thing. I don't know what's going to happen, right? But all I do know is that I have been manifesting for however long. Like, we're literally actually, you know, tomorrow's this is coming out later, but right now, like tomorrow will be the 3-year anniversary of West Passing, right? And it's one of those things where I am literally taking the day to, you know, I'm training clients. I'll get a workout in, train clients, go to Chattanooga, go to the Night Champions, meet up with him, you know, and see him, spend time, have a great weekend, like do family stuff. Like I'm living my life. And all I had asked for and been manifesting and like prayed for with God was not because I had tried to force things before, but a long time ago I told him I was at my lowest and I was like, just give me anyone, just like bring me someone. Like I'm so upset, I was at the bottom, right? And he did, and the person was awful. Okay, and then. Fast forward, I learned things from it, whatever. I was like, I'll never do that again. Okay. Then fast forward, and I was like, I'm in a good spot. Like, yeah, like might as well, like, let's try it. But it wasn't really because I wanted it. It was like, people were like, you deserve this. You deserve to be happy. You deserve, I hate that. Right. And
I don't understand that.
Yeah. Well, and it was like, because of all the things and all the accolades and whatever. And when they had said that, I was like, yeah, I do. And then I wasn't even feeling the date with this person before. And then it's just like, I don't know. I was like, you know what? Let's just like do it. Well, whatever. Let's try. And that ended up being a horrible situation. It changed my life forever. But, it's one of those things where both times it just seemed like it was for others, or like, it was, yeah, it was forced. It was so forced. And, that's why, like, with this situation, Chris has not only shown more, like, genuine care than any other man I've spoken to in years, but even my whole life. You know what I mean?
Well, he's just paid attention to stuff.
Yeah.
It's not even like it's not like a private jet, right? But like,
right.
But it's like the little stuff,
yes,
that he pays attention to,
right, to
add to and accommodate to your life,
right,
and him too. It's not one sided,
for sure.
And so that's rare. That's rare to find,
and it is, and that's what's so challenging because it's like, with people, like, they really do say like that it's easy and all these things, whatever. And you're like, oh yeah, like whatever. And the thing is that it's not going to be easy with however we, figure this out, whatever. But like the easy part of it is like that I don't have to guess how he feels about me. Mm-hmm. I don't have to guess like that he wouldn't take care of, anything that I needed, or you know what I mean?
Yeah,
and it's just
questioning his character and who he is.
No. And that is a huge thing. And so, for me, it just makes me excited to feel like, I don't know, wanted, but then also not like on the level of like, oh, Dandy Fitness, but also like Danielle, like, and because I've had these men talk to me before, and and I'm sure you with was gloves, whatever he was.
Yeah, I mean, there's levels of different things everywhere.
Yeah. Like when they have different, it's just like these expectations or whatever. And it's just like, I have not felt anything that's forced. I don't feel like anything that's rushed. I just feel like it's just like.
You can be you.
Yeah. And that's all I've ever wanted to be. Mm-hmm. That's all I ever wanted is a safe space. Like I provide a safe space for my clients. I've always just wanted a safe space for myself, Well,
I think you've done that with like your friendship. The people that you're close to in your friendship and stuff, like, you both can just be you.
Yes. And that's where like, so with
isn't that the dream, right? In a relationship where you actually don't have to pretend and you can just be honest and.
Well, and also like, I think that it's just bullshit. It's like this whole notion that like, I don't know, these girls are like, oh, they go for years of like not knowing how this guy feels about them. And it's like, this is absurd. Like, that life, I've lived that trauma and that fight or flight response, whatever. And like, I was like, absolutely not. I don't want any drama.
But there's worth more than that.
I don't. Yeah. And like, and so that's why it's like, I am treading carefully of like, with things. But it is one of those of like, you still want to be able to step out of your comfort zone. Right. And like,
it's hard.
It is. And it is like, cause you want to feel like you're all in, but also like,
there's risk.
Right. There's risk. And it is hard. It's like, it really has to be like finding somebody that just gets it. And I really didn't feel like I wasn't searching. I wasn't like, whatever. I just remember I saw like a picture, like a video of him or whatever competing. And I was like, who's that? And then literally was like,
who could that be?
ooh, I think I did like a little fire emoji or whatever, if we want to know the story. And then he was like, hey, like, did you compete or, whatever, said something nice or something like that. And then that just started the conversation. And then we met at the chat show.
Also, that's another like layer too, right? That he'll like actually start a conversation and have a conversation.
Right. Because a lot of these guys I know that would love to take me out, but they never made the initiative. I don't know what y'all are doing, but just hearting all of my messages 37 times every day is not the indication that you want to take me out on a date.
And honestly, like, I'll give them this, right? Like, women are nuts too.
Yes.
And like, we have totally, as women in general, have totally jacked men up where they're afraid to do stuff
100%.
because we lash out,
For sure.
which makes me want to punch everybody in the throat.
I know. But my thing is too, though, is if you pay attention to anything that I'm doing, like, that I am going to be real about it with them. So like, I've told guys before, I'm like, hey, look, I'm just gonna be real with you. Like, we can be friends, but like, this will not go anywhere. And they're like, yeah. It's like, no. Like, I'm listening to the words coming out of my mouth. I'm not just.
I've been straight up with guys.
Yes.
I mean, even one of the most recent guys I dated, like, I was straight up with him. He had a kid, super nice guy.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I gotta take my time. Like, we gotta be slow, man. And he didn't want to take his time. Like, he wanted to go fast. And it was like 3 dates, and he was like, I'm falling in love with you. And I was like, I don't think you are. Like, no offense.
Like, no, I've said that before too, where I'm literally like, I don't think you are. I think you're mistaken, but it's not.
I mean,
and
I
that's,
know I'm awesome.
but I know I'm awesome. That's not an insecurity thing on our part, guys who are listening. That's not us being like demeaning ourselves. It's literally being like, you don't know
Because you don't know
any
me.
other
I
layer
haven't shown you.
of what I've shown you.
Yes.
So how could you love me at this stage? And some people say, oh, men just know or whatever. Okay. But again, it is like, you don't, I'm trying to think. You don't go to the birthday party and start with the birthday cake first. You know what I mean? You got to get the kid the presents. You got to do the whole thing. You got to sing happy birthday. Then comes the cake. Okay? There's a process, I feel like, If we just rush straight in for the cake, everyone's be like, hey, man, get your hands out of the cake. It's not time. Right?
Yeah.
So it's just one of those things where it's like, I really do think that, I think Chris was very excited, at first. And he still is. But like, it did come off a little bit extreme for me because I'm like, I've never had this. I've never had roses delivered or like, flowers that I said were my favorite delivered to my house. Okay.
I love that.
And it was. And like, even like with my gym, like I never once said or spoke that I needed a trapod. I was totally fine with having my phone up on my canister and then like the angles. I don't care. You know what I mean? He was like, hey, I actually got you a surprise. It should be delivered now or whatever. He's like, I feel kind of silly about getting it, but like, I thought you could need it or like use it. And I opened that up and I was in shock. I was like, wow, a functional gift that like I can actually use in everyday life that's going to remind me of the person.
Things. Please
but
take
literally,
note.
And I don't even know.
He's just paying attention.
Honestly, that could have cost, I have no idea. That could have cost $9 or
might
could have
have won
cost
that.
$90. It doesn't matter to me
Might
because
have
I
won
use
that
it.
out of a, machine.
It could have been here. It could have been that he had laying around. I don't know.
Could have been a white elephant gift. Who
But-
knows? I'm just
Wow.
kidding.
I think he really did get it. But
I'm
again,
kidding.
it was so special because I'm like, oh my gosh, someone actually listened to me and realized like that was something that was important that like and they saw that, from when I was recording our stuff and whatever. And so I just thought that was so cool. On that note, no, like, I mean, it's just funny because men do look different depending on what their haircut and their stuff is. Like, people have like, we're the ones that like,
Well, some people like beards and other things and stuff too, and some don't.
Honestly, I will say this. I have always just been about like what like is where they feel confident. You know what I'm saying? So for someone, if they're wearing, I don't know, slides and basketball shorts, but like that's what they're comfortable in and they can rock it, then that's that. Like, I'm here for it, But it's when they try to look a certain way because they think the other person, you know what I mean? I don't like that.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of men get trapped in that because a lot of women feel like their man should look a certain way or should dress a certain way because of other people.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, like, I don't know. I remember he said something about, he was like, well, like what color, like shirt, whatever. I was like, do not care. I mean, I'm not trying to be like that, but I was like, I'm always gonna say black, like whatever. But like, if you want to wear the green, looks nice too. Sure, put the white on. I don't know, but like, I
Don't put a shirt on.
But there it is. And everyone's gonna be like, hashtag your hot boyfriend. Okay, and trending.
Well, I mean, you want to go viral. Sonic, hashtag your hot boyfriend, fight for what you want.
All the
Get your
things.
movement in.
Whatever. No, literally, for the amount of times that I've had people walk in that gym and tell me and say, literally 2 seconds in, so how's your hot boyfriend? I'm like, wow, he's a great person and he's caring and like his abs are the least interesting thing. And yeah, objectifying him. No, anyway, whatever. Here's the thing. I will say this. Do you remember when I've talked about this on the podcast before, but like, do you remember how I've always referred back to like the best date that I ever went on when I was 15 years old? I don't know if the Valentine's Day.
Oh, yeah.
The rose, the guy planned the date. It was a macaroni grill. Then the movie. It was a scary movie. Like, because he listened. Like, it was very like little effort, but like at the time was like everything. You know, it was older than me, whatever. Okay. After that past weekend, that going to Gatlinburg with him, with Chris, it was like, seriously, I was like, wow, I have a new story. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But so like from 15 years old, so this is kind of like when people try to rush a healthy lifestyle journey and rush like weight loss. And they look at me like, oh, well, I've been doing this for like 3 weeks. It's like, yeah, it took me a year to even just like change my body and like see some type of change. Mm-hmm. So like, what are you saying? Right. And same thing with this. It's like from 15 years old. So when someone's like, oh, well, I've been, you know, I have all these accolades, all these things, whatever. I can't find a man. It's like, guys, 15, now I'm 30. It took me 15 years to have a special, beautiful, like thought out weekend for me, date planned, all this stuff. 15 years. So
Well, it's like the Olympians, right? Where they're like, yeah, I just trained for my whole life for a 7-second run.
Logan talks about that all the time.
Usain Bolt.
Yeah.
He ran like his whole career, he ran like a total of like 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it was like, it's like a minute or something. But the point is, he trained for decades and decades for like a minute
For-
or
Right.
time.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's just like, to me,
We just give up on stuff in America, especially.
well,
We're
yeah.
just-
Well, and I mean, and ourselves too. And
Yeah.
And that's where, like, I don't know. That's where, if I would have sat every day of my life for 15 years being negative and being upset and hating men, what good would that have got me? You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, there's no point in that. And so it's like actively working on myself is what led me to have an opportunity to meet someone like him. Because if I wouldn't have put myself out of my comfort zone.
Well, and that spills over into every part of your life.
Yeah. I mean, so it's like, so that's where I feel like, you know, like I do want to talk about this. Like, how do you feel? Because again, you know, he's 38 and you're 38.
I am.
Yeah, you're 38. So tell me from your perspective, from a
Hashtag
female.
1985.
Oh my gosh. Today is a great year, apparently, you know?
I mean, brings out the best. Yeah. Anyway, go ahead.
But seriously, like from your perspective, you know, do you feel like they judge you because you don't have kids? Do you feel like there's been this hard like pressure? Like, what's been with that?
I think in my 20s there was more, I guess, somewhat pressure of like, or expectation, I think, from people of when you're gonna get married, when you're gonna have kids. And
This
honestly,
time
I think
clock, and I hate that.
And I think especially, honestly, even like in the Christian world too,
Yes.
like it's kind of like you do this,
Oh, yeah.
you go to college, you get married,
Yes.
you have kids. And it's just so unrealistic in so many ways.
Right.
And setting people up for failure. And now being, I think, as I get into my 30s, and then as I, now late 30s,
Mm-hmm.
rolling into 40s. Just kidding. I think people, I guess, know enough about me. The people that know me don't. But I think people sometimes question, like, why don't you have kids and stuff and whatever? And I've made distinct choices to not do that because
Right. You've had opportunities.
there's been opportunities.
Yeah.
just value myself
with
enough.
mine. Yeah.
So I just, I've just been intentional about that. And then, but people, I think it does put question marks sometimes in people's brains. Like
Yeah.
if you don't, like, is there something wrong with you that you haven't been married yet and don't have kids and stuff?
Right.
And women don't do that to men too, where they're like,
Right.
if you are married and have kids, like, is something going on with you?
Yeah.
And we just have it backwards.
We do, because even when you're saying that right now, I look at it as like, wow, like you believed in yourself enough and like trusted yourself enough to not settle for what everyone else around you was saying that you needed.
You just seen so many people be unhappy.
Yeah. Well, and you've told, so I remember I was sitting at, well, I don't know, it was a holiday. And it was like one of the first after like he had passed or whatever. And I remember sitting there and someone was like, oh, it was Mother's Day. And I think one of my aunts had said something like, you know, I would say Happy Mother's Day, but, and to me, and I was like, wow, like what situation would this have been good? Mm-hmm. Have a kid and be a single, like a widowed mom, like, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. Or be a mom in a relationship or something that I just like clung on to because of loss and grief and not, you know, which I could have done as well.
Yep.
And so I'm just like, no, absolutely not. And so finally, like everybody was like drinking and whatever. And I remember sitting there and I just kind of said something to the effect of like, hey, and literally y'all need to give me until at least, because they've been like asking me about dating and stuff since I was like 14. Okay. At every function, it always seemed like. And again, it was like my insecurity because everyone around me, my cousins, everybody was getting married. Everyone's divorced. Now they're married again, whatever. And it's just constantly hearing that, you know? And it was just like, no, that's not my path, whatever. But anyway, so I just remember sitting there and being like, hey, until I'm 35, like that was the number I gave them just at the time. I was like, until 35, stop talking to me about this.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's irrelevant because I didn't, even in my plan, even if like things would have happened differently before or whatever, I had a very distinct plan. Like I was not even going to try to have kids until like 33, 34, 35, like even try or like to be on that. And I didn't want to be married until after I turned 30. Like none of that. I never was like, yes, 25, can't wait. Like when I was in college and girls were trying to get their MRS degrees, I was like, y'all look crazy.
Oh, I thought the same thing.
Like, that was just never my path. That's not what I wanted. Mm-hmm. And you can say, oh, like fear of commitment or whatever. And I kind of get that. But it was more so just like, I don't even know myself. How am I supposed to have this life and share this with this person?
That was just one of the things, right?
Yeah.
Like there's fear there.
Yeah.
I mean, especially like I watched a very distinct man in my life, like my dad be a certain way out in public and then be a very different way at home. And so there is tendency to be like, I want to see you in different aspects of how you're going to operate because I want to make sure that you are the man that you say that you are.
Right.
And so there is that. But more than that, even, it's just, I think God has, I don't know. I mean, Paul talks about it a lot. Like, if you can remain single, be single.
Yeah.
Right? Like, scripture talks about that and stuff. Mm-hmm. Because then you can put all your efforts towards like your relationship with Christ.
Yes.
And for me, it's just more of I wouldn't have the freedom. I feel like I've poured into a lot of people's lives and I've had the honestly, like the honor and the opportunity to be able to do that.
Yeah.
And that's how I really view that in my different friendships and just different ways that if I was married and stuff, or had kids, like some of that stuff wouldn't have been able to happen the way that it did because of that. And so like, I'm grateful for the time that I've been single. And does that mean that's forever? No. Does it mean it might be? Yeah. I don't know. And it's okay. But we view it as like a negative instead of viewing it as something that is a gift.
Well, what I hate is that everyone always acts like that you're like so much more special now that you have someone.
Yeah.
That was always a thing with me. Like, it was like anytime that I would talk to somebody where they're like, oh, it's like almost like, and I think that's just people wanting to be excited for me or whatever. Sure. But it almost seemed like like you made it. Or like, like you're there
this
now.
Was the
like
goal.
This was the goal. And it's like, whoa, like, no.
Yeah.
I would rather than be like, dang, like your business is crushing or something like that. Like that. Like something that I feel like, I'm not said I didn't work hard for this relationship or anything like that, but you know what I mean? It's just,
let's be honest. You've been able to pour more into your business and pour more into different people in your lives because the lifestyle that you've had, being able to be single and stuff has allowed for that.
Right.
That's just,
And the
an
thing,
advantage to it.
right? And I'm not saying that I couldn't have done any of that in a relationship, because
Of
I was
course.
able to do amazing things going through grief and loss in a relationship,
Right.
and in a relationship. And so it's like, I've been able to do all of that. But yeah, I just I hate that kind of a like that it's, I think we're in a society where women look at, like, because they have a man, like they're like worthy now, or like they're like accepted, and so it's like this like
Yeah, it's another notch. Or another,
yeah, and I
it's just
hate
another
that.
level of,
I just want it to be cool. Like, I love this. Like, I need someone that is, that partner that sees me for me. Like, that is what I've always wanted. That's what I've, always like really needed to fill my cup up. Right. And not that I can't not need, and like I need to live, I have to have that person. It's not that at all. It really is just like that, that partnership that we talk about all the time.
Yeah.
So I do want to talk about this, because I am like, I don't know how to say it. I mean, I'm just going to say it. But like, do people who know you really well, did they ever be like, oh, you've missed out on some things because of the path that you've chosen to live like in a spiritual way?
yeah. So in my choice to, save myself for marriage and stuff, there's different buckets of responses to that.
Yeah.
So some people are super encouraging. Some people are very surprised and don't frankly believe you.
Right.
Some people then kind of, I would say men want to make it a goal to achieve that.
100%. Yes.
And then there are others that are just kind of indifferent to it.
Yeah.
So it's weird responses.
Yeah.
People that I'm close to know about my walk and my faith and stuff,
Yes.
and respect it, and I don't know that and so forth.
I mean, I'm honestly jealous because, and I've talked about this with other people and other clients before who also have the same, are on the same path. And, a lot of times they feel left out. They feel like, all these things, whatever. And I'm like, it's not even a left out thing. It really is. Like, if you aren't with somebody that you genuinely like love and trust, then it's pointless anyway. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, man, it's kind of like going to the cookie store and getting like the stale cookies from the back, and you're just like, dang, you know what I mean? Like, it's like
Yeah.
the ones that have been sitting there for years, and you're just like, oh, I finally got the cookies, and then you're like, these aren't even really that good, and like, I don't really feel like, man, I should have just waited till the cookies on my trip that, whatever, right?
The
Like,
alpha
for the
cookies.
exceptional, the alpha cookies, heck yeah. But you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Versus
Yeah,
just having a bunch of cookies all the time.
Well, and frankly, in the beginning, in my walk and stuff, and I did it more out of obligation, or just, I felt like that was what you're supposed to do.
Yes,
Right.
yep.
And then that's morphed tremendously over the years.
Yeah.
Where it was definitely a choice.
Yeah.
And,
And I love that. I mean, and again, I don't think that there should be shame around that. And I know that, some of the people I've talked to have said that they feel, like I said, like shameful, or like they feel like they're not like everybody else. I'm like, good. Like, don't be like everybody else. Like, that means you're doing something right. Like, even with this community is not like everyone else.
Oh, it's not.
This business, like, is
Yeah.
not like everyone else's. Like, and again, set yourself apart in every aspect. Right? Like, we're trying to align every aspect, our financial goals set apart, our fitness set apart, like everything, the way we view life, the way our relationship with Christ is, like everything is setting apart. So like, while at that part, adhere to what everyone else is telling you to do, or what.
To steal a Dave Ramsey, I mean, I'm not, there's things I appreciate about him, right?
Yeah,
But like,
yeah.
to steal a Dave Ramsey line, 78% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck.
Yes.
So that is normal.
Right. And I don't
wanna
want
do
that life.
No.
Like, nope. So again, if you are listening to this podcast and you're saying to yourself, because a lot of times what happens is people get really confident, right, with their journey, and they're like, man, like, I feel good, I look good, whatever, and then they want to share that part with someone. Honestly, like, when I go out. And let's say I'm walking down the road or whatever, like, for example, after the show, and I'm in a sparkly dress, and a man says like, oh, you look good. It's like, thank you. But like, I already knew I looked good. I don't look good because or I'm not happy now because he told me I look good and had that validation. I already knew it. And so that is what, like, if you're, building this consistency and this routine, this regimen, this lifestyle, that let that carry on with you. Like, let that confidence be real confidence. And you don't need to diminish that because you think that someone will love you because of, whatever.
Yeah.
And I will say that I had said something about that, about like, hey, I just want you to know, like, this is really important to me moving forward and wanting to do things like, in what I view as the correct manner. And he was like, that is the goal. Like, that's an ideal situation. And even if that was complete BS, whatever, you know what I mean? Or whatever, it still was said and no one has ever approached it that way. And that was a beautiful moment for me.
Yeah.
Because again, it was someone listening to the words coming out of my mouth.
Yep. And you feel respected.
And not trying
you
to challenge
feel
it,
he's
not
hurt,
trying
you feel
to
healed.
pressure. Exactly. And it was just like it was a safe space. And so again, ladies, like, I think that a lot of times they're like, oh, well, like, he's going to leave me if I don't do this or if I don't do that or whatever. And sometimes
that's why I have those conversations
Yeah.
so quickly.
Yes.
Honestly, like I do in a lot of ways with guys. Like
Yeah.
I know there's certain things about myself too that can be challenging to a man. Of how I operate and stuff. Like I'm really independent. There's just different things, right? So
Yeah.
I know that. So I try to be open and honest about that right away. And knowing that I need time in a relationship to figure that out and just give me that space to do that.
Right.
And usually if I feel like any way smothered, then I'm out. Like I'm just out. And so I think it's just being able to be honest in those places. So
well, and to communicate. And it's hard. It's hard to communicate sometimes. Like it's good to put, like, you can easily put out like what you think, whatever. But like, let's say that somebody came back to you and was like, no, I totally agree. You're like, oh, whoa. Okay, now I have to actually like work on this.
Scary,
and like, and it is scary. And it's like, why is it scary?
I know. Yeah, no, I mean, I dated a guy and again, he was the sweetest guy I ever dated.
Yeah.
Like he was super thoughtful and stuff and whatever. And it didn't work out with us. He's married now and has kids. And she's lovely too. And they're really good together, like him and his wife. But he was super respectful about stuff because we talked about a lot of different things. And he was like, he met a lot of those boxes for me. And I was just like, it was freaky.
Yeah.
Right? Because you're like, oh crap, like there are like, this is working out. So now what do you do? Like, what do you do when it works out?
I don't know. See, that's a chapter in my book that I haven't yet written because I don't know. Like, and I think that, I don't know. I think that if everything is led, for me, like with the discernment that God has given me, that just walking in it with confidence and like I would with my business or I would with any type of other thing in my life, and I don't know. I'm excited for this season. I'm excited for all the progress, everything, that's coming up in the new year, like all of this, and all the growth in every way. And I just know that, I remember people would make fun of me before because I would be like, I really want someone who is into fitness and is, all these things, whatever. And and I believe in manifestation. And I think that and I believe in, all of that. I think that if you truly, the best things are worth waiting for, right? And so if you truly believe in yourself and are confident and everything like that, like the things will come to you, but like you have to continually work on yourself,
It's that perseverance piece, right?
Right. So, with that, with your journey, like what are some things that you've done? Because if someone's listening, they're like, well, I'm in the same spot. I don't really have anyone to talk to about it or whatever. And, they're maybe working on their healthy lifestyle. Like, what are some things that you do to like go meet people or to put yourself out there?
Yeah. I was part of I like to golf. So I did like a golf league, which was comical in some ways because for the first few like weeks there were people there. And then after that, it was just me, which is fine because it still was really good. And I won 90 cents every week because I won every hole.
Oh yeah.
Rack it up.
Private jet. Here we come.
Exactly. I still go, like I'll go out to eat by myself.
Yeah.
I'll go do things with friends because there's stuff that happens. I think it's just being open to still developing those relationships and being intentional about
Yeah.
the friendships and stuff too. And honestly, like even like this community, again, like I've developed friendships from there. So you meet people from meeting people too.
Right. And the biggest thing too is, guys, is that like at the end of the day, if you don't go to the gym, you know that you're not going to get a workout in. Like that's a fact. Like you're just not, like it's not going to happen, right? So if you don't go somewhere and put yourself out there, you're not going to meet somebody.
Yeah. I mean,
Like-
it can happen even like at work and stuff. Like I
True,
have no friends
yeah.
that meet people at work and different things. And I think it's being like open to that
Right.
too.
And I believe if you put off the energy too, like, because again, there's times where like I know why things didn't work out with other people because like I didn't really want them to. Like I wasn't in the right headspace, wasn't in the right mindset. I wasn't ready. So therefore, like it didn't happen. But I guarantee if I would have been like, yes, I'm all in this way, like I could have made things happen. But like it would have happened.
Yeah, that makes sense. I will say that, I mean, sometimes I'm probably a hard person to approach in some ways because I'm pretty direct.
Well, yeah, I will say y'all are pretty intense. Like
I don't need to
at
be
the
intense.
show. Like, well, I think that's because I'm helping build strong women and more independent women, things like that. But
Yeah, I've been told that for years. But
There's
yes.
right, but there's that piece though that like, especially when you get that confidence with the healthy lifestyle journey, you're like, oh, I can work out. I got this. I got that. Whatever. I'm eating, doing better choices. Whatever. Feeling my best. It's like there's still those times where we have to level it up though, of kind of like a. What I've it's a hard balance, right? Because it's not like we're trying to change who we are, but just showing that femininity, like showing that, like, no, like, I mean, yeah, you what did you do? Like, got those bowl cutters or whatever, like, out of your car, like, you could like, yeah, like fix things and whatever, but also like it'd be nice for somebody to come and do that for you,
Yeah.
right? And you're open to that, yes. So it's like, but I think that from the outside in, if a guy's not, I think if he was willing to like actually learn, like he would then try to learn about that. But I think most of them are just like, like I'm not going to bother. She's got it. She's got her own tools. She can handle it.
I mean, I do.
Right? But
Yeah, but
Does that
it's
make
true.
sense?
And honestly, as a woman, like you want a guy or I want a man that's strong enough to step up and do that, be willing to do that.
yes,
Or let's do it together. I mean,
right. It literally just takes one more step of like asking. But I think that so many people assume, like with me, a lot of people, even sometimes clients, I think they're like, oh, well, I just assumed you were busy. Well, I am. But again, I will make time to respond for the like for the things and for the people like that I need to, that are like emergencies, and whatever, or like that I am wanting to do. So it's like, that's why I was telling him, like, I can make time to go on trips or do whatever. It's just like, I need to know and plan ahead.
yeah. But there's been plenty of times where I've reached out, like you just have like a moment and I'm like, dude, and even if it's just saying it out loud, like I don't even necessarily need you to respond sometimes. I'm like,
Right.
I'm just saying this out loud because I'm just having a moment.
Yeah.
And also respecting when you put up boundaries of like, I'm going to a funeral or like whatever, like those kinds of things where I need to be respectful of that. But there are definitely moments where I'm like, hey, Danny, like this is what's going through my brain.
Right.
Like,
and that's, again, which is totally fine. And that's why I'm saying it's like, I have no problem. Like, I think that too with like men, like if they really want to make something happen, like they're going to make something happen. And that is where it is that like internal battle that I always get so frustrated with. I think that like, if a man is not making the effort, then like he really doesn't want it. So like, why are we, like, you wouldn't tolerate that with me. Right? Like, or it's someone else that you work with or your therapist or whatever. Like if someone else treated you like that. So why do we allow for those certain things to happen?
yeah, we excuse it away.
Yes. When that's not.
I mean, we have to just like, right? Like I always say that, drop a handkerchief still, like you got to make yourself available.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
somebody has to pick up the handkerchief.
Subliminal messaging. No, but so, okay, perfect. So I want to try to, as we pivot, like we're, again, Christmas time, New Year, everything coming up. So have you in your mind, like, what are some of the, I guess, things that you're looking forward to? Like, you are getting more of a grasp on your food, getting a grasp on your movement, all these, positive things. You and Jane rocking it out, like, so like, what are some things that you're looking forward to? Like,
I think I'm most looking forward to is, I mean, we kind of joked earlier about, the possibilities are endless, but that is true, right?
Yeah.
So now I can look forward to whatever I decide I want to do, I can go do.
Yeah.
I love investing in my house, and I have plans I can see long term for stuff in my house. I've already redone a bunch of stuff, but there's things that I still want to continue to do. So that always excites me.
yep.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know for sure like what all that looks like, but I'm just excited to just keep moving forward.
Yeah.
I'm proud that I still continue to make, there's failures along the way, of course.
Of course.
But I'm proud to still be making consistent choices.
Yeah. Well, and like we were talking about the other day, I said to you something like, we're just so lucky to like live this life, right? Because even though it's a sinful world and there's so many frustrations and there's so much bad and whatever, like when you have freedom in your body, you have more choices, you have more opportunities, you have more adventures you can go take, you have longevity with life, I believe, so it's like there's so much to it that you don't have to worry about. I mean, like even just like throwing on certain clothes or whatever, right? Taking the thoughts.
Yeah. No matter what the size, right? But like, taking the thoughts captive. I love that. But it's just being able to put on a pair of jeans and at least it fitting right.
Right.
I don't care what size it is, but it just fits right.
Yeah.
And just that, I don't know. It's just like that relational piece with yourself that I'm still learning and like figuring out and just realizing more and more like what that looks like, which is interesting. But yeah.
And it'll continually change too. Like every season, like everything, like I think people are like, oh, like at one point, like I'll get here and be like on autopilot. It's like you will always find ways to level up. There are always more challenges that you can partake in. I don't care if you've done a bodybuilding show or if you've done whatever, like it doesn't matter. Like, there's always something different you can pivot to do. And so I think a lot of people get stuck with like, well, I just don't know the next goal. I don't know the next whatever. It's like you can always find something to shoot for and to feel excited about. And whether it's the next, Dandy Fitness Challenge or it's, you know what I mean?
There's just more freedom in it, right?
Yeah.
Like I don't have to sit there and worry. Like I was going to take, we haven't gone yet, but I'm still going to take my 2 older nieces like horseback riding.
Yeah.
And when I first started looking into it, you have to be under a certain pounds.
Yeah. I had no idea about that either.
And I was freaked because before I'd done that, before I'd started this journey, I was not.
Right.
And I was like, what am I going to do if I just told my nieces we're going to go do this thing and I'm not going to be able to do it?
Yeah.
And stuff like that I don't have to worry about anymore.
Right.
And so I don't know. There's just freedom.
Yeah. And I think that some people look at a healthy lifestyle journey as more of like chains, like they have to do this and they're like whatever. And it's like, no, we're integrating this into your life. And when you have a true healthy lifestyle regimen, that's what we're doing here is you're changing the situation, you're changing the mindset, you're changing just the way that you look at everything. And this is an addition into your life, not something that you have to like maneuver and work into or whatever. It's a part of you. And it's like who you are. And you can tell. And just like I said, I am just so proud of your confidence. I could care less about how much weight you've lost, honestly. I mean, I love that you have lost a lot of weight and that's great. But for me, it's like your health is better. You move better. I mean, your form is better. You're lifting heavier. Like there's so many positives in that. And to watch you on that journey and even to where you are going to be like at some point too. Like, I mean, I know it's like, again, you don't want to like, look into the future or whatever, but it's like I see this like beautiful growth in you and I know how far you can go, with this. And so it's just like, it's cool. It's really special to watch because a lot of people give up on themselves. I can be like, here's like the treasure chest right here. Like, just you're one step away and they're out, because they've decided. And so as long as you choose yourself, like you will blow your mind. Like that's all I can say.
Yeah, I genuinely believe that, and I've seen that, and I've had even people that have known me for a really long time, and people that have known me for like a short amount of time, like they've seen those changes too, more internally in me, and like how my perspective of myself has changed.
Right.
And so, again, I feel proud.
Well, and also real quick, we'll go back to when you went to Arizona. Like, 'cause again, I mentioned this at the beginning. Like, so. How was that with that trip? Like, did you feel like, did they notice like a difference in you? Cause did you have nostalgia with that? Because it had been, 8 years of your life was there. And now you're coming back as honestly a different person.
Yeah. I mean, there was parts of me that was, I was interested to see how I would respond to the different reactions and stuff, and even just how I would continue on my journey while I was there.
Yeah.
And so I still was intentional about making
Yep.
sure that I set myself up for like movement and working out and different things, but then
Yeah.
also allowing myself to eat certain things that I knew I would want to eat.
Yep.
And at different times, but still making like better choices.
Yes.
Not being like every single meal, I'm just going to down a whole freaking slice of pie because it's delicious. But I
Right.
know that like, 3 nights this week, I'm going to eat some really good dessert because heck yeah.
Yeah.
Or whatever the case is. And so that was helpful and good. Like I was
Yeah.
proud of that. And it was weird in some ways being back where like people, like the people's reactions, I guess, to stuff, because some people were, everybody's super encouraging for the most part. Right.
Right.
But then some people were like, are you still doing this? And I'm like, yeah, I'm still doing this thing. And then other people almost would try to like let you know that they're trying to do things in their own life. And I'm like, no, it's all good. Like,
Yes.
like I love you. Like it's
Yeah.
good. Like you don't need to compare like to me, but to be the person that
Right.
they're kind of comparing to,
it's
like that's
it's
a
crazy,
weird,
right?
that's a weird feeling in that area. Like there have
No.
been other areas in my life that's happened with, but in
Right.
that specific area was different.
And a lot of my clients go through that. And that's why I try to tell you guys that like you are leading by example. Like you are setting the example for so many people. And not to put that pressure on you. It's just a fact
Yeah.
because you are living a real health lifestyle journey and people laugh about that. People used to laugh at me and be like, oh yeah, like love your body throughout. And then until they saw that their daughters weren't loving themselves and their daughters were having binge eating disorders and their daughters were having anorexia, and all these things. And then these men or these women are like, oh my gosh, like everything you've been saying actually matters.
Yeah.
And it's like, it does.
Yep.
And it can literally save their life.
Yeah.
So like, how about we take this seriously? That we should go through life not hating ourselves or feeling like shit or like, continually comparing ourselves to all these people that will never look like and just embrace this journey and be the best that you can be. And if you don't know what that looks like, then let's set some goals and like, let's try to figure it out. Like, but like only you, I told the client the other day, like only you can tell me like what you're wanting to fight for. I can help you. I could text you every day and tell you to get out of bed, but you're not going to roll your ass out of bed unless you have something that you're fighting for. So that's why like I wear my bands every day because when I'm in bed and I look over it and I'm like, no shit. You know what I mean? I'm like, fight for what you want. All right, let's get it. And then we go, right? Or I have pictures or something to keep me going.
Yeah. The choice is ultimately yours, and it's setting up those resources, those communities, all those things so that you can be successful.
For sure.
And so that's why I'm really grateful, one, for the community that you've established, but then people in my own life, like I am so grateful for the people that God has brought along my way, because even like going back, there were a couple of very distinct people where like when I'm staying with them and stuff too, like they acknowledge like what I'm like, whatever you need, right? Katie,
Yeah.
if you need to like cook stuff up or like, what can I accommodate with this? Or like, they're just aware of that. And that's really special.
It is because
'cause-
they're actually taking you seriously. And that is not always a given.
No. Yeah.
And even, with my family and stuff, like it took them pretty much till not recently, like immediate family, but like other family, like till recently to actually take it seriously.
Yeah.
And even comments were like, oh, now that you're like SKI and NY, like you can eat this, right? And it's like, nah, like I still brought my food. Like, nah, like I'm still on a plan. Like I'm in a prep or whatever, because again, it's a lifelong journey. So like I haven't had mayonnaise in how many years? I ain't gonna have it today.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like that's just not part of my life anymore. We like whatever. Like I may have a cookie, but like I ain't gonna have that.
It is weird too, because I can tell a difference when I've eaten stuff that's not it's out of the ordinary, right? That I'm typically eating. You're kind of like, oh man, I kind of feel crappy now.
Yeah. And you just don't feel your best because again, you're looking for exceptional. You're looking for exceptional life, exceptional partner, exceptional food. I mean, just everything, so it does translate into all that. But I will say, I'm excited to see how much more your journey just like flourishes. I am so grateful for you.
Same.
With everything, and thank you for everything that you've done just to help grow the community, set the example, and just you know, it's been really special to watch. So I'm glad we could have you on today, Katie.
Yeah. Thanks, Danny. Appreciate it.
Until next time.